mentioned, not only the executioner changes, but the big one for me is the Ichval nerf. What are Hunters going to build now without their crutch item? Going to be interested to see what they go for.
And although a completely different subject, certainly a god that a lot of people have had their eyes on is the Hell. First ban for New Game Plus.
Not too surprised, honestly. I mean, it's a god that can be countered, yes, and has a lot of counterplay, but if you don't play it very well, if you don't play it near perfection, it can snowball out of control very easily. In a one-game scenario like this, where each team's only playing each other once, just get rid of that. Don't let the possibility of Hell going on a rampage start to affect you.
And she's much more than just the healing as well. She does a lot of damage from that mid lane, so it's not just, oh, well, we're trying to avoid the healing situation. She's just damn strong. Another god that's just as strong, you're looking at Raven right here, liable to be found in the jungle or the solo lane. Ton of damage and a ton of tankiness.
Terra, the first pick on the other side by Burrito, and I like this here because this is remember, Burrito, despite not finding a lot of success during the summer split, they watched other teams and got to practice against other teams and play against other teams that really beat them. These are two strong picks right now. You learn a lot from situations like that. Terra Chronos with a ton of movement speed, a ton of survivability, and of course Chronos, we talked about late game gods, Chronos one of the best.
Well, Geb's can be selected as the Guardian for New Game Plus alongside Scotty, another character that's seen a lot of prominence lately. But going back to that Chronos, I mean, he doesn't have Fatalis. Is the Hastened Ring enough to bring him back?
I don't even know if he needs that, to be honest with you. I mean, he just does mage level damage with his regular 1 and 3, and then he does auto attack, late game hunter damage whenever he uses his 2. So there's not a lot of time. Traditional mages, you go on them when their cooldowns are down, but Chronos just shreds you with his auto attacks during that time. If he uses 2, then he can shred you with his mage abilities. Just really difficult to find a window of opportunity against Chronos.
Bellona, still a very strong solo option, will be selected for Burrito. And then our second round of bans, Morgan and the Thoth. Well, the Morgan and Thoth banned out by Burrito. And then on the other side, a jungler, Camazotz, and another one-size-fits-all character, Osiris, can be banned out. New Game Plus, not convinced that Burrito are not going to play that warrior in the jungle.
Yeah, I like that Osiris ban. Usually when you see the warrior, you said, okay, we don't have to worry about Osiris anymore, but just making sure that that's not going to be played in the jungle. We've seen Captain Twig in particular really thrive on that warrior jungle.
Kakullen, I'm glad to see him. This is one of the first times we really get to see him in competitive play. This guy is really strong. No mana, instead of rage mechanic. He's able to transform into a whole different character, basically. Very strong at disruption. Kind of brings back a mentality of almost a Sun Wukong type character.
Yeah, just difficult to lock down. I think once players kind of start to play against him a little bit more, it'll be a little bit more comfortable because having a whole new set of cooldowns, including having an ultimate on the regular form and on the transformation form, it's a lot to keep track of when you're up against Kakullen. But right now, I love this pick. I think it can be very strong.
He'll be going up against Hercules, who's always very strong. It's New Game Plus going up against Burrito Esports in our first match of our SPL relegation here on the European side of things. As we get into the game, Burrito will find themselves on the right side of your UI and then New Game Plus on the left. And right away, anything catch your eye so far?
Not really. I mean, I like the Vastricle. Obviously, as you'd expect, understanding how this Kakullen works pretty well is that he's got not only the health chalice, but health potions, as you mentioned. No mana on the character, so multi-potions, not really necessary, unless you want to pop them and the health pot at the same time to get a little bit of extra regen. But I think just having the extra bit from the extra health potions probably smarter there. Fusify picking up the sprint and actually using it to get out of base to make sure that everyone's in the right spot. Wonder, I don't see any wards down aggressively from Burrito. That's what I would think you'd pop the sprint for. Without those, I wonder if that was a misclick.
Yeah, it might have just been at the end of the day. I mean, I really doubt we're going to run into an issue where he needs that in the first absolute minute of play. Actually, scratch that. Murder and Game Hunter going to show up right away on the enemy's front porch, trying to steal the red buff, and they successfully do so. It's going to sit on the floor.
No, yeah, I don't think, no, it was Burrito that ended up securing that, because Spanify is the one to pick it up. So now it's Burrito Esports with a big lead in terms of XP, because New Game Plus didn't do anything at all except go for the invade. They didn't get any gold or experience from that first 35, 40 seconds of the game.
It's a big deal.
Burrito only get the red buff, but for the moment, that's going to give them the lead. Now, keep in mind, New Game Plus has their own red buff to go get. They still have their purple. There's a lot of experience still on the map waiting for them, but it's going to take them a little bit more time to get there as opposed to Burrito, who already earned half that.
So here we see him clearing out the buffs on our side. And all right, so there's just an arrow for every buff on the board. That's a lot of fun. 1.5 minutes on the clock very early on. I'm bringing that up because nothing really of consequence. Sometimes we see the solo laner rotate over to the mid lane to go for a nice cheeky play. But recently, since these recent patches, we've seen these solo laners kind of stay in their lane.
Especially when the junglers are rotating over early to secure these blue buffs. As we mentioned, no mana needed for Kakullen, but that blue buff is still valuable golden experience in the early game. Not a god like Hercules where you have to prioritize getting him the buff because he just needs the buff, but it's about keeping Vastrical in line with Sibby's golden XP.
So 4 players from Burrito go ahead and split up the Oracles. The Oracles bring more than just experience and gold. They bring vision as well, but is it worth the 4-man split?
Absolutely. The vision not only, but there's not a lot left on the map to farm after you get your initial rotation of buffs. You clear too slowly in order to get back camps too quickly by yourself, so you have to stick together in situations like that. And you have to keep in mind that, as I mentioned, everything's going to be down for the time being. Any sort of neutral farm you can get, you should absolutely prioritize. Oracles is just the best option at that time.
Game Hunter on this Scotty, not a character that benefited as much as some of the other gods from the recent Hunter itemization changes, but still a strong character nonetheless.
I say I agree with you that the itemization kind of upheaval for Hunters, Scotty not affected by it as most other Hunters are because of the fact that usually Scotties are building just pure penetration and pure power because she's got excellent scaling. Caldier just shreds through people because he does % of your basic attack damage. So I think this is actually pretty smart. Don't worry about trying to find out this new build so soon. As you mentioned, this is the live patch. Just went live a couple days ago. These players had PTS in order to find it, but still could be hard.
Big ultimate in the mid lane. Flippo in some trouble. The Vulcan ultimate gonna survive. And there's Johnny now turning the tables. Replica's trying to find the kill, but the Terra movement speed should be enough. But Geb rollout from the left-hand side will be caught out as well. Burrito do a good job at defending after the counter initiation from New Game Plus.
Big shell there from Johnny. Keeps himself alive just long enough to receive the Terra's blessing from Fusify, who needed to hit level 5 before he could use it. One might wonder why it took so long to go off. It's because Fusify was still level 4 in that duo lane.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting seeing that turnaround. Burrito actually started that fight. Death Panther drops down the Suns and tries to go for the Vulcan, but as soon as Flippo tosses out the ultimate, everybody from Burrito has to turn around. They don't want to get hit. Death Panther actually does get hit, and New Game Plus kind of try to pile on the mid laner, but as you pointed out, both the ultimate and a couple of other tools there help out our mid laner. Death Panther, so he lives to see another day.
We didn't really talk about how many different options Burrito Esports had with their draft. They could have put Kronos in the mid lane and Huyi and Hunter. They could have put Hercules in the jungle and Bellona and Solo. But I like this particular sort of setup for them here because Death Panther on this Huyi has much better mid-camp control in the early game than Kronos does. Mid-camp's very important right now. Not quite getting you to level 2 as they did for a little bit there right off the first wave, but still important in the early game. And you're going to have more pressure as Huyi than you will as Vulcan, especially with the fact that Vulcan's going for the Book of Thoth Rush. It doesn't have boots early, so Hunters can really punish immobile mages like that, but because the auto attacks are going to be doing a lot more in the early game than a usual mage would.
It's not even just the ricochet clearing on the mid camps that I like about putting Huyi mid and the Kronos over on the left side. The typical mage ultimate is a big, wide AoE type effect, and Kronos doesn't bring that. Kronos has self-sustain, preservation in his ultimate. Well, Death Panther on the Huyi brings the Suns. That's going to bring that traditional control, so you're able to go ahead and make use of that in the lane, on the objective, what have you, as if you were playing a normal mage.
Not only that, but Huyi a little bit safer, has that excellent leap to get him out of danger and up and over walls if necessary. Plus, as we mentioned, Kronos really shines in the late game. You need as much farm as possible in order to get there quickly. Duo lane, you're going to be getting significantly more farm than that in the mid lane. I am a little bit interested to see which build path Death Panther is going to go for. Will he still go Ichaival here? That's usually what Hunter mids would go for because, as I mentioned, mid lane you're getting less farm than in the duo lane, so you have to find gold-efficient items. Or you could go for the penetration route, a little bit less expensive than the auto attack route. So Death Panther's got a couple options here. With the double Hunter, I expect some penetration. Yeah. I expect a chin size pretty early on. Crit really not very good into this New Game Plus roster, not only because of the double warrior out of the jungle and solo, but of course Geb takes less damage from critical strikes because of his passive. Chin size were definitely stronger here for Death Panther.
I think this is definitely a chin size route. Repicas lurking in the jungle. Not going to go for Spanify just yet. Spanify, does he see him there? I don't know, but the mid lane, everybody sees Flippo. 4 players for Burrito Esports. And although they get the ricochet on the mid lane mage, not able to find the kill. Chronos gonna rewind right in front of Game Hunter. There's the ultimate, waited for the rewind to be used. The doggo chasing him down, but only enough to bring Chronos down to half HP.
Game Hunter did a great job of holding that ultimate there, forcing Caspanify to use the rewind first, and then finding him with that Winter's Grasp to find the root.
Yeah, and a nice juke back in that mid lane. If the Vulcan gets hit by Hercules, he goes down. Replicas pops to sprint to go chase Johnny. There's the ult. The ult away from Johnny underneath the tower. Ult for ult seems to be the way to go so far.
Murder uses knockup before the Cataclysm, which meant that Johnny was DI'd too much, and he was able to jump out of the Cataclysm first. Just use the stun and then the knockup. You're going to see them for longer. Murder just out of order with his ultimate, and 2 there leads to a drop kill.
Yeah, sometimes you do see the Geb trying to find the knockup in order to ensure that the player's in the radius of the ult. But that time, Murder absolutely had the ultimate from Geb in range, so no need for the second ability there. So a little bit of a mistake, yeah, and that's going to leave us scoreless here in our 7th minute.
Murder has gone for a very old school style of support build. He's gone for Hand of the Gods #1, or so to try and clear those buffs early on. Also get a little bit more objective secure, though New Game Plus has this superior objective secure with the Vulcan ultimate. But he's also gone for cooldown boots and a Mark of the Vanguard, so Murder's gonna have a tough time keeping up in gold income with Fusify, who's gone for the Travelers.
Nice ricochet into the ultimate. Murder could be in trouble. Caught out here by the mid camps. Flippo trying to push people out, but Death Panther is still on the chase. Knockup saving the Geb for a moment. Rollout canceled, life canceled. Johnny gets the first blood for Burrito Esports.
Caldier going in, but so is Johnny right onto Flippo, who's again 1 HP. Death Panther this time is gonna find 2.
Gets the double kill right off the top. 3 down, all of them in NGP jerseys. Burrito Esports retreating directly towards the objective. This should be a goal to your aggro. I think it will.
I don't think anyone's going to get here in time. Murder does have ultimate and that Hand of the Gods, but he's coming all the way from base. A lot of starter items usually picked up after boots, but sometimes it's been Swift Wing. Could have been the call here to help him get to this one, but wouldn't have been there in time anyways, I think. Gold Fury does go down for Burrito Esports. First real lead of the game. No real surprise. Usually when it's these really close kills that take a little bit to get there, and then all of a sudden 3 quick ones for Burrito and a Gold Fury.
I like the decision from Johnny here. I think his options were open after he finishes attack speed boots. So, although with the attack speed boots, I think he kind of hints that we're going into a mage build. But after boots are done, you can kind of sit there and go, do I go Ikaval or Aussie for the cheaper options? Well, after a double kill at a Gold Fury, yeah, I'm building Transcendence. I have that pocket change to go for the expensive rush.
Plenty of power as well as good sustain in lane, because in the mid lane you're going to be using your abilities a little bit more often to clear because you're up against a mage who's going to be insta-clearing the wave at this stage of the game. So you're going to need to be able to spam as many of those ricochets as possible. I agree with you. 1,400 gold's a pretty steep price for a tier 2 item, trying to get towards that tier 3 of Transcendence. But when you get all of that at once, makes it a little bit easier in order to spend that gold.
Yeah, I mean, if we could actually take a look at gold in hand to see where he's actually planning for that next one, because, I mean, you need another bunch of gold.
There.
Yeah, he's almost there. That's probably where his mentality was. He's like, look, a couple of waves here, and I'm going to be able to back and pick up that 1450, I believe is the mark he's looking for, and then he's already stacking.
I like what both solo laners have done here. Neither went for the teleport. Teleport receiving a nerf. Now you need to have it upgraded in order to teleport to a friendly ward. Instead, going for a Swift Wing in order to kind of mitigate that lack of rotation that you used to have with the teleport. Instead, getting the shell, the defensive option, a little bit more team fight presence, still having that quick back to base and try and get to the team fight.
I've been looking for this option for a long time. Finally, we're at the point where this is a viable strategy. Now your solo laner has 2 real options instead of just the sort of crutch that you were forced into of the teleport. Death Panther watches his ultimate go down. I think he was trying to be aggressive, but the opportunity just wasn't there.
I mean, he got Flippo's beads again, and that's the 3rd time that we've seen Flippo get jumped on and have to use those purification beads early on here. And it's kind of there's 2 sides to this. Number 1, I think Flippo's been out of position a couple too many times, and that's what's allowed Burrito to jump on him and get those purification beads. But that being said, his choice of escape path in all 3 of those situations has been very strong. So he's done a good job of keeping his cool whenever the enemy plays aggressive onto him, but I'd like to see him play a little bit more conservative so that he has to do that less often.
I did want to bring up the fact that despite all of the aggression on the Vulcan, I mean, he still only has 1 death. This is totally fine. This is exactly kind of where the Vulcan wants to be. He's finished his Thoth. He's looking for boots. Vulcan isn't supposed to really do anything in the first 10 minutes, just sort of farm up. And then in that mid game, and especially the late game, just become that backfire starts to hit like a truck.
Absolutely, but in the starting in the mid game, he's not going to have a chance to use purification beads, backfire away, and get away, because if he's in these positions come mid to late game, he's going to die whether he has relics or not. So Vulcan works best as a frontline disruptor. When they engage on your hunter, you can kind of meatball them away, you do some good damage to them, and then you throw the ultimate into the back line to try and support there, or you just try and blow up a squishy from the beginning of the fight. Either way, it requires staying alive and staying safe, because he is going to be a target come late game. Vulcan damage output in the late game rivals that of gods like Scylla. Doesn't really get talked about in that regard, but certainly right there.
Big damage on Gespanify, forced into the ultimate just in time. He's going to slide his way towards Game Hunter, who's shy about a quarter. Now half an HP bar. He's able to take him down with a couple of basics as well. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on the murder build that you were talking about. I love the CDR boots on Geb, because right away you're getting more of those shields out, which is basically what Geb wants to do. And then the Mark of the Vanguard is going to protect him from the basic attack damage, because it's all damage taken. So dots and basic attacks suffer most from this ability, from this item. Gespanify, Death Panther, basic attack characters, Suns, almost a dot effect, repeated hits. Even Bologna, basic attack oriented. It's obviously not going to stop him from dying all the time, but just that little bit, I like that it's leaning towards the composition instead of a one-size-fits-all build. But
at the same time, he didn't go for that Lono's Mask, and Lono's Mask is so good on supports right now. He's not getting that burst of gold. He's not getting that HP as well that comes with it. The little bit of HP 5, not super impactful, but it helps in that regard. I think I would have rather seen the Lonos here, because Mark of the Vanguard, as you mentioned, best against dot characters. The only real prevalent dots that Burrito has is Death Panther's ultimate, and then the Terra Monolith ticks whenever she explodes it. But
I'm looking more at the basic attacks there.
I think that I'd rather just have the outright HP in the early game and then build some extra protection in the late game with the boost of gold that Lonos gives me.
Yeah, the Lonos. Let's compare the net worth between our two Guardians here, Terra and our Geb here. And you can see Geb all the way at the bottom.
Over 1,000 gold down right now. Not only because of the Lonos, but the Travelers, as I mentioned. Those two together, that is so much more gold income for Fusify. Murder just going for the real old school build, Sovereignty now. No one's built this recently at all.
Yeah, really looking to help out the team here. That's going to give everybody on the team some additional protections, specifically the physical protections, which, I mean, you're not really worried about the Terra damage, I suppose, so Gespanify the only offensive mage.
Yeah, but that's standard. I think that I would have just rather seen a Jade Emperor's crown here, though, because Johnny's not going to be building a whole lot of offense, and Jade Emperor is taking power away, does the same thing, if not more in some cases, than giving your team protections. Johnny going for defense right after this Gladiator Shield. Glad Shield, not a lot of power outright anyways. I really think that Murder is on his Season 2 sort of support build here. And it worked for him then. It's just a matter of, can it work for him now? And maybe, I mean, we see this quite often where the new school build, sometimes you just go back to the old school and it works better anyways. It's just you forgot how good it was. We'll see if that's what the case is for Murder's build here.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the gold income, I think Lonos Mask was the objective wrong call. I would like to see him with the Lonos Mask. The other itemization, yeah, I think it's more up in the air, and we'll have to see as the game progresses and matures. Oracles went to Burrito Esports. People are backing in the mid lane, but they're looking for the Gold Fury.
Flippo's down to about half HP, does have the beads and the boots completed now as Repicos in a bad spot. Actually gets plucked out of the Suns from Johnny, but here comes the Volk.
And it's going to be leashed. No big deal. Trouble with the curve as Johnny is going to be forced out onto the back line as he gets pushed down to 25% HP. Here comes Fusify sliding on in, and Vastrigal by himself just trying to bring the game to Burrito Esports.
The Thorns pop, trying to push Gespanify out of this fight, and he's done so successfully. Death Panther forced to jump away. Vastrigal gets both relics out from Burrito's Hunter.
Fusify is a little bit of trouble on the right side, but it's all about the left side. Sibby knocked up. Death Panther takes Repicos out in the jungle, while Sibby pushes the rest of the team into the lane. It looked like Sibby was being controlled, but he was doing the controlling.
Really good stuff out of Burrito's solo laner. Now, they're all a little bit weak, but so is New Game Plus. What is Burrito going to do here? Do they pull the Gold Fury with this low collective HP? Only Game Hunter still has an ultimate on the side of New Game Plus.
I think you do pull this if you're Burrito, because you can absolutely take the fight. Everybody's low, not just on Burrito, but also New Game Plus. I mean, they don't have... There's the frenzy. They were just looking for the fight the entire time. Vastrical stunned out. Johnny gets killed before the bludgeon lands. That's a lot of damage being prevented. Big play by Game Hunter, taking out the jungle Bologna.
It was Burrito who thought they were doing the baiting, but New Game Plus was on their advanced bait. They were baiting the bait in. Game Hunter picks up the kill onto Johnny there, and Game Hunter, that's great news for him because he's been the one who's been performing so far for New Game Plus, sitting at level 15 right now. He and Caspadify right there, neck and neck in terms of net worth at the top. Not only did Game Hunter get the kill on the Johnny, but he forced out the Aegis from Death Panther as well.
Yeah.
That's a big bait going in New Game Plus's favor.
That was a whole team fight of decoys. Sibby decoys the entirety of New Game Plus into the lane so that his team can collapse on one member, and then we see the Burrito decoy get turned around during that Gold Fury. It's kind of fun to watch, and at the end of that, 17.5 on the clock, 4-1 read the kills. Burrito leading in that, and also the perhaps more relevant category of gold by just under 3,000.
I was wondering what Game Hunter was going to go for here right after Transcendence, and he went for the newly buffed Executioner. Usually in the spot, as we mentioned, Scotties go for some penetration. They're not too worried about attack speed. Executioner does bring you penetration, just not on your abilities, which is where most Scotties focus. So Game Hunter really going to try and weave those auto attacks in, and it does work well with Scotty's kit. When you lay down that permafrost, you know where the enemy's going to be because they're sliding across in the jungle, in the lane, wherever you are. So you're guaranteed to get those penetration stacks and then apply that extra damage with Caldier.
In the mid lane, Fusify going to join up with his jungle Bologna. 1-1-3 so far for the defensive building Johnny. Usually we see him more aggressive.
We do. He really does like to play it pretty strong. You're always trying to dive into that enemy backline. But this isn't too defensive. He's really relying on the base damage from the Bologna kit. I'm a little curious about this Bluestone Pennant instead of Death's Toll, but we're at the point now where Death's Toll would be worse than Bluestone. He got through the early game where Death's Toll would really carry him with that sustain and extra damage on the cleave auto attacks. So between those, between the Bluestone and the Gladiator Shield, enough to do Johnny's job, which is annoy Flippo, annoy Game Hunter, and make sure that the rest of his team can freely cast, because it's all about Death Panther and Caspadify are going to put out enough damage where Johnny doesn't really need to be doing that. It's just a matter of occupying the rest of New Game Plus to free up the space for Death Panther and Caspadify.
Going back into these Guardian builds, I'm just liking where Fusify is going more and more. He's got the Shogun's Kasari, understanding that he's got 2.5 players, Bologna's half and half, 2.5 players on his team that really want to bring the noise with the basic attacks. The Jade Emperor's crowd that you were talking about earlier, I really just like where Fusify's mind's at right now.
Love it, absolutely. As you mentioned, you want to boost that attack speed from Death Panther and Caspadify. Caspadify did go for that Hasten Ring. Not all Cronoses go for this. Some go for a little bit more mage-oriented build. This tells me that Caspadify could be going for Demonic next, and that's probably what that ring is. Could also be the new Shaman's Ring, trying to apply that extra debuff of protection. So it's technically you'd get a buff of damage onto the enemy whenever you hit them with an ability after you're able to stack up that Shaman's.
Yeah, it's at first glance that item is Robin gets hit by a bunch of damage. Vastrical's actually going to get pushed around just a little bit, but I think he can handle it no problem. He's relatively tanky. The Shaman's Ring seems kind of complicated when you first look at it, but really, it just does a ton of damage if you're able to find them first.
It does seem complicated, so let me break it down. Do some damage, and then it gets like a cool new icon, and then you do a lot of damage after you hit someone with an ability. After you hit someone with an ability on the Evolved Shaman's Ring, your next abilities, your auto attacks, everything you do to that character does 10% more than everything else. So really, really strong in terms of gods that want to weave in auto attacks in between abilities or combo abilities like Whirlpool into Kraken, things like that. You can make your Kraken do 10% more, which is quite a big boost.
Left side, there's another team fight, although it's the team versus one. Vastrical gets a good knockup, but then gets knocked down. 4 versus Vastrical. And the Cullen falls down. He's not coming for anybody now. 4 players on Burrito looking for gold.
Did take 2 ultimates, including that Terra ult as Death Panther gets really low here. Caldier not quite in range to finish him off.
Murder has Hand of the Gods, rolls through. And that's enough to chase Burrito off of the objective. Down south, you see everybody coming back around. Johnny looking for some trouble. Big stun, but Murder standing there, knocks 2 up, gets hit by the Vulcan ultimate. But that's enough for the team to continue pushing forward. Sibby knocks down Murder.
Reppy did find Death Panther in the back line, but you still got a full health Kronos who's hit 22 minutes without any sort of pressure onto him, just swinging at you.
Flippo at this point needs to be doing more damage. Murder trapped 3 players in the Vulcan ultimate, and they just didn't care.
I mean, it was all frontliners. It was all frontliners. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot whenever you're hitting frontline tanks when you don't have any penetration. And Flippo's gone for this Book of Thoth. He's looking for a Spear of Desolation with that spear pickup. Spear of Desolation, really, really good against backliners. Really, really underwhelming against frontliners who already have a lot of defense. I mean, look at Sibby. He already has 1 stack of Hide of the Urchin. He's working on what's probably going to be a Genji's Guard as well. That's HP, that's magical protection. There's just not enough pen from Flippo to punch through there.
I'm gonna ask you to do a what if. If this Spear of Desolation is being built into a Obsidian Shard, which is likely already finished if it's an Obsidian Shard, how does that go?
Not much better, to be honest with you, because the frontliners were full HP whenever
That's
Murder
fair,
ulted
yeah.
them. You put them down to half HP, and maybe Burrito takes an extra half a second to think about whether or not they want to go for Gold Fury, and then they realize, yeah, we can still go for Gold Fury and get it.
Hunter v Hunter here. There's the ultimate out of Kronos. Game Hunter now walking away, and Kronos is the one on the aggression. Gets hit. There's 1 shot. 2, 3, 4. Couple of basics will hit. The 3rd, waiting for it. Not enough to kill with the Time Rift, but finishes off Game Hunter with the basic attacks. Caspanify takes it to Game Hunter. 1v1. Down goes the Scotty.
So here's another what if for you. Actually, hold on. Flippo in a lot of trouble in that mid lane. Johnny used his ultimate offensively to get underneath that tower. Both able to escape pretty low HP. Game Hunter built Magi's Blessing after Executioner, and Caspanify was able to get into his ult with about 1 auto attack of damage left on him. If that's a damage item, if that's a Brawler's Beat Stick, that's a Titan's Bane, if that's really anything in terms of damage, Caspanify probably dies there, and it's a solo kill the other way for New Game Plus. Pretty defensive-minded to get a Magi's Blessing this early on. I think if you're going to go defense in this sort of route, maybe Winged Blade, but Winged, there's not a lot of slows to immune on the other side. I mean, you're looking at Johnny's 1.
There's not a lot of CC to immune on the other side. If there's an Ares, if there's even a Daji, I understand. I think the Magi's Blessing is a lot for just a little bit.
Death Panther has to use the Aegis. Knockup is good there. Already used the jump. Good damage coming out of Flippo, but not quite enough quite yet.
Vastrical is right here and trying to find some sort of way to shove Burrito back underneath their tower. New Game Plus looked like they wanted to start the fight, but then not like they wanted to continue the fight. So Vastrical had to say, yeah, we're pushing it, but now go away. New Game Plus regroup and now look for the secondary push here underneath the Tier 1 tower. Sibby not going to get the flip.
Big knockup there, tremble, I should say, from Vastrical as Johnny right into the back line and goes up and down. That's going to be trouble. Repicos gets the kill.
I think he thought he was more tanky. There's the Unleash by Flippo. Still not enough damage. Thorns from Vastrical to send Burrito the other direction, but instead they just look for Murder. Not tanky enough. Flip is good to pull Repicos back. Caspanify gets 1, Caspanify gets 2. Double kill for the Kronos man.
Death Panther jumping in right onto Flippo. Fusify's gonna get credit for that one. Vastrical stunned out. Needs to be careful. Caspanify's level 20 already.
He's just been crushing it. Gets the solo kill. Immediately says, hey guys, I'm swinging like a truck. I don't care what they're doing. Burrito actually got engaged on in that engagement, just to remind everybody. New Game Plus does more damage, but they lose 3 members in the interim. Johnny, the only one to go down from Esports, and it winds up being not 1 but 2 towers for Burrito Esports.
You might be asking yourself, how can New Game Plus do more damage and lose 3-1 there? All the damage is on the characters that aren't Death Panther and Caspanify. Fusify got low. Johnny died. Sibby got low.
Yep.
But Death Panther and Caspainify, particularly the Chronos, just got to do whatever he wanted in the middle of that team fight. Not touching a Chronos in a past 25 minutes team fight is a really easy way to lose that team fight. Now he's got that Rod of Tahuti completed.
That's scary.
It was the Demonic Grip. So Demonic Grip got a recent change, a little bit less power, only 40 now, but 30% attack speed. You're stripping away 30% plus of enemy magical protections. So things like that Genji's Guard for Vastricol, the Shogun's Kasari for Murder, they're going to help, but not that much up against the amount of penetration that Caspainify has.
And what it comes down to is that, like, also we see how quickly those towers were shredded. That's also a product of the Chronos and what he's able to do here. So pretty intense. You can see 3,000 structure damage. That's an entire tower just by himself.
And I would love to see an Obsidian Shard last item here for Caspainify. Not only does that give you a little bit of burst of damage, it gives you even more penetration, and it's even better against those towers. So if you thought they were going down quickly now, after an Obsidian Shard, you can hit those towers for 100, 200 plus pretty easily with the late game Chronos.
Burrito right now kind of biding their time because they wanted to go for the Portal Demon, and then very late into it, they decided, let's just hit the Fire Giant. I think they're surprised at the amount of damage that they can actually handle. Murder's in trouble, finds a nice ultimate himself, pushed out of the mid lane. Hunter's ult. That's going to be a good look for him just temporarily. Unfortunately for Vastricol, not working with the team. Replikas, however, finds Death Panther anyway. Caspainify answers back, taking down Flippo.
But again, someone's got to get on top of Caspainify in this team fight. Vastricol now in some trouble, stunned out. Big Geb shield, though, for Murder. Caspainify's really low.
He's got to activate his relics, and he gets hit anyway by Vastricol. It's now going to be a 4-on-3. Flippo's team on the good side of things. Game Hunter takes another one down. 3 players down for Burrito Esports. They have the lead by about 6,000 gold, folks, but right now, they do not have the momentum.
Murder has Blink, but no ultimate. Could look for a knock-up right now, but instead it's New Game Plus, turning their attentions towards the objective. I don't know what bursted Caspainify down there, but that was the difference maker. Absolutely. It might have been Game Hunter from the back. Caspainify never got a chance to survive.
Johnny trying to disrupt the objective here, but Sibi takes down Murder. That's a good look, and Burrito are able to snatch it away. Repikas takes down Johnny, and Sibi trying to get out of here alive, and he will succeed. And the 2-man disruption force of Burrito Esports take away the Portal Demon. Nice job by Burrito.
But at the end of the day, someone has got to start to protect Death Panther. Caspainify falls there because he's the only damage dealer left to worry about. Death Panther a little bit separated there, and he's been kind of focused out now by Repikas in back-to-back team fights. Vastricol and Repi are looking for this Hui in the team fights. Fusify's done a good job of protecting Caspainify, protecting Johnny, Sibi. Johnny and Sibi don't need protection. Try and keep one of your damage dealers alive. If they're both up, it's very difficult to focus them both down because Death and Caspainify have done a really good job of splitting up in these team fights. They aren't both standing next to each other because if they are, Repikas can jump onto both and zone both for a duration. I like their positioning in these team fights overall in the big picture, and that Death Panther and Caspainify are separated so that at least one of them is getting damage off at a team fight. But you got to be a little bit closer to your team if you're Death Panther so that you can at least get some help whenever you get focused.
That's one of the things that Fusify has good team fight control. The peel, if you don't have your collapsible walls open, you don't have much peel on demand, especially since you're using your dash initially early on in the team fight most likely. New Game Plus are Burrito are able to watch as NGP pick up the free gold Fury on the other side. 2,000 gold going their direction, so now only trailing by 4, but Burrito want their lead back. So they take down the tier 1 tower. That's going to be an easy 500. And it's just a tier 1 for now.
That's a big Obsidian Shard pickup for Flippo. We talked about how Spear of Desolation just wasn't enough pen. Now he has enough. This is good. Now he can work towards a Rod of Tahuti. Worry about that burst damage after you can actually deal with the frontliners who are in your face.
Now when we see that Vulcan ultimate go, it's going to hurt. You can see right away already the damage being shown. Meatball and a backfire actually affecting Sibi's life bar. Replikas, nice shield by Murder.
But there's not a lot of anti-heal on the side of New Game Plus. Only a Brawler's Beatstick is all I'm seeing right now. No Pestilence from Murder quite yet. No, or from Vastricol, who could also pick that up. I think that instead of the Spear of Desolation, I would have preferred to see an Obsidian Shard into a Divine Ruin and then into Rod of Tahuti. You're still getting 2 penetration items back-to-back, but then you're getting some more, a little bit, about the same power. I believe Divine Ruin also 80 power with that Spear of Desolation. A little bit less pen, but you're trying to knock down Sibi in these front lines. Like you mentioned, mentioned, Flippo did a good chunk of damage to Sibby, but it just got immediately healed back up.
Johnny gets knocked up in the middle of Bludgeon. And again, taking a look towards that damage, she's definitely able to deal it. And Bologna not going to heal as much as Sibby is. Vastrigal, not too much trouble despite being surrounded. He's got a Geb shield and is Kakulin. There's the ultimate out of Murder, but his team wasn't really there to follow up.
Fusify pops Terra's Blessing. A lot of haphazard ultimates here, basically, on both sides. Murder found a good initiation, but no initiation is good if your team can't follow up. And then Burrito drops 2 ults just to get away.
On second glance, because of the 2 ults, I kind of like that. Murder drops the ultimate, and Burrito just assumed that New Game Plus are going to follow up. New Game Plus didn't get the same memo, so Burrito spends 2 ultimates for only Murders. That winds up being an accidental win for New Game Plus.
Murder, 2-man knockup. Revi and Vastrigal in right on a Johnny, who receives multiple shells there, it looks like, from Burrito. You're right, New Game's getting a lot of cooldowns down from Burrito for no real commit.
There's going to be a commit out of Burrito. They understand that they've used a lot of their tools, so it's time to fight. Vastrigal on the back end, he's going to use his ult, and there's Kispanify, low HP. Murder comes through, gets a knock-up on 2. That's going to be that. New Game Plus trying to find another reset. Still 3 ultimates available for them, although Sibby and Johnny do have theirs available as well.
Vastrigal gets another Geb shield as Repikas right into the back line. Kispanify does get the rewind off, but still on the run. Here comes the ultimate out of Flippo, and it hits only Fusify.
Vastrigal very low here. Over the top comes DP, and he's going to be able to find a way out on the north side. Trouble, nice knock-up from Flippo. Where's the rest of the damage? They need more damage. Up, down from Johnny spells his own disaster. Repikas on the good side. 1 down for Burrito. New Game Plus, not really that healthy, but nobody back at the fountain.
We've talked so much about Burrito Esports frontline taking all the damage, and their damage dealers taking very little. Look at Flippo and Game Hunter's HP bars. Vastrigal and Repi took almost their entire health bars in that fight. Those 2 frontliners did a great job. And where's Murder? Sitting next to Flippo and Game Hunter, just in case anyone from Burrito gets past that front line. As I mentioned, Murder's Geb shields have been excellent so far this game. You know, you can say what you want about the build. Might not be the new school optimal, but if you're throwing out Geb shields with those cooldown boots as often as possible, and they're as impactful as they have been for New Game Plus, you can't really fault Murder too much.
Yeah, no, like I said, the Traveler's boots, sure, I can go without. I would have liked him to see the Lonos mask, but I like the CDR boots. And when you're Geb, CDR is so exciting because you are going to use those Geb shields often. Repikas trying to zone just a little bit while his team takes out the Portal Demon. Half HP on the objective. Ultimate on a Kispanify. Everything on a Kispanify. Game Hunter still top player damage, bringing it to the enemy Hunter.
Perfect engage that time by Murder. Understanding that Kispanify didn't have any defensive relics available there. Rewind doesn't matter if he can never get it off. Good commit. Instant off the Portal Demon right onto Kispanify.
And a wonderful zone job by the front line of New Game Plus. Murder down below half HP, rolls out down south. Vastrigal controlling 2. The ultimate out of Flippo. Not gonna find anybody.
Now Repi still going for Death Panther. Misses the ultimate. Game Hunter the focus for the moment. But again, this front line for New Game Plus is too much to ignore.
Vastrigal and Repi just here. Sibby gets knocked up, pushed around, sliding as well. Meatball is enough to send Death Panther over the wall. And the Thorns on Vastrigal are strong. That's going to push Johnny up north. Repikas as well, giving him the hands. Sibby, low, 2. New Game Plus still trailing. But the 3,000 is almost ignorable here, folks. They got the Portal Demon. The Fire Giant is their next target. If they get this Fire Giant, tie game.
Sibby's here, so is Fusify. No ultimate for either one. Sibby should have his soon, though. Murder tanking this up, does get knocked up, taking a decent amount of damage from this Fire Giant.
Sibby's got to get in there if he has any chance to take it out. He's looking for it now, understands, goes in, gets knocked up. He's going to get controlled. He might die here, throws the boulder, and it's not enough. New Game Plus take down the objective, but Sibby takes Murder out in his chance to try and steal. Death Panther takes down Repikas. 3 players left with the Fire Giant buff.
Game Hunter gets back to base in time, and Burrito starts to push it down. Sibby almost gets baited there by Flippo. Phoenix should be the call here. 2 dead on the side of New Game Plus, and that front line that's been so problematic, 2 out of the 3 members are dead. Only Vastrigal here, and he doesn't even have an ultimate.
It's been back and forth here, but Burrito still maintaining momentum despite the objective going the other way. Mid lane, Phoenix goes down. Sibby gets hit by that Vulcan ultimate, but close. Hercules be Hercules.
Close, but not quite enough for Flippo. Needs that Rod of Tahuti if he wants to get that big damage number off the ultimate still.
I mean, he got a big damage number. It just hit Hercules.
Who has 7 Height of the Urchin stacks and a Genji's card.
That's a tank character. Flippo in trouble, finds a nice knockup, but he's going to be put down by Johnny. Game Hunter's ultimate already activated, likely going to follow the same suit. There's Aegis already burned, but a big ultimate by Vatrical, saving his Hunter's life. Game Hunter's going back in, looking for the basics and finding them, because Manify takes out Vatrical, but Simi goes down to the hand of Game Hunter. Still looking for more. That's low. 2. Game Hunter's looking for a 3rd.
He's looking for Johnny, needs 1 more. There's the triple kill. Could go for Fusify here, who's still really low as well.
Looking for it, but he's got to walk away. Big damage, dodges it, finds the 4th, not technically the quadra kill, not technically, but I will take it. Game Hunter, 5 up, 5 down, all to the man with the dog.
8, 1, and 4 for this Scotty. 36,000 player damage for New Game Plus's Hunter. This build is just chunking through Burrito Esports. Caspanify had an opportunity to come in and finish off Game Hunter there, but was just a little bit gun shy. When Fusify found that route, Game Hunter was still looking at the support. Game Hunter was 1 HP. That's 1 Chronos auto attack for a full build Hunter at this stage of the game. But a little bit too hesitant for Caspanify and leaves the Game Hunter wiping the enemy team single-handedly.
If only they could have CC'd him.
If only.
But he had a Magi's blessing.
Yeah, it got popped earlier on.
You know?
He got hit by a stop time that was nullified because of it.
Game Hunter, like I said, this is his sort of second comeback to the SPL, or hopefully as he's in relegation right now. Already, I'm just seeing a much more effective player than when he returned the last time, Ryan.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't wipe an enemy team by yourself by not playing at a high level. Scotty right now is such a strong Hunter, and using this sort of penetration-oriented build, yes, but not the usual we're used to seeing from Scotty. Game Hunter showing that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing on the character to find success. Instead, using his abilities as CC for his auto attacks, whereas other Scotties primarily using their abilities as their main source of damage, and auto attacks are just kind of there until your abilities are back up.
That's kind of always been his take to the game, though. Game Hunter kind of, there are players that do the meta, there are players that work against the meta, and then there's Game Hunter who just, sometimes he does the meta, sometimes he just does kind of whatever Game Hunter wants to do, but yes, the man with 5 kills winds up being Game Hunter. But I absolutely have to tip my hat to the facilitator. Vastrical makes that happen. Not only does he save the life of the Scotty, but he sets him up to play cleanup man.
He really does. Huge knock-up, 4 people, and then Murder comes in, very low, shielding Vastrical so that he can still frontline for a little bit longer. You don't get 5 kills all by yourself, really, ever. It needs to be a team effort, and it certainly was for New Game Plus.
Vastrical was such a big deal there, not only saving the life, and then the reason you tip your hat to Game Hunter, who goes in there?
Game Hunter does.
Who goes in there? Objective going the way of New Game Plus, nice and easy. As again, Vatrical, Murder, and Replicas wind up pushing Burrito way up north. Flippo, but the jump from Johnny out of control. Replicas turns it around to Caspanify, able to take down the Mage Hunter. Now continuing the fight as Murder pushes 3 players up. Game Hunter one more time, playing hyper-aggressive, looking for the kills.
Again, Caspanify is the focus, and ever since New Game Plus identified that he was a problem that needed to be taken care of, just about every team fight has gone their way. He has been focused down heavily. Replicas initially, it was on the Death Panther. Now on the Caspanify.
Behind the wall, surprise, it's Replicas. But Murder and Vastrical not willing to come around and take the okie doke as well. 39 minutes in, lead change. New Game Plus take down the objective, take down the Mage Hunter, and with that, they will take the lead just barely under 1,000. But it's certainly worth talking about, where Burrito has had control of this game entirely since minute 1.
Rappy.
Jumping forward, peeled by Sibby.
Beautiful pullback there by Sibby, saves the life of his mid lane Hunter. Now Replicas may have bitten off a little bit too much, but Murder here just to help out in case. Now Murder's the one in trouble.
Murder turns it around, looking for the flank, finds it, but he's getting flanked himself. Sibby's there, kind of low, but nobody there to finish, and Johnny takes down the Geb.
Game Hunter still trying to do his best, but everyone's a little bit healthier this time around. Bludgeon comes through. Repicos very low. Johnny finishes him off.
Flippo and Vastrical from the back end. Simmy's in trouble. Backfire comes up now, but he misses. Game Hunter is being chased down. Flippo tosses the ultimate. Game Hunter able to get out somehow, and Flippo trying to save his Hunter does not do so. Vastrical peels Johnny. Game Hunter safe and sound. Vastrical one more time, the savior for the Scotty. This time trades is out to no avail. 4 players down on New Game Plus. Fire Giant goes to Burrito unless Game Hunter can somehow bring a miracle.
New Game Plus had the Fire Giant ready and waiting, and instead of going for that, instead of baiting Burrito in, if they want the fight, fine. Take it at a neutral objective. Take it at the Fire Giant, not under the enemy tier 2, where Vastrical dives too, Repicos dives too deep, excuse me. Then it was murder, and then after that, I mean, Johnny just did such a good job of keeping a Game Hunter busy. Vastrical finds a multi-man knockup onto 2 low HP targets, but Game Hunter never gets a chance to throw auto attacks their way because Johnny's keeping him busy.
This one's going to be tough. Murder's up, Repicos up in 6. New Game Plus, not going to be able to play defense. Burrito here looking right for the Titan. Geb and Robin, are they enough?
I don't know. Murder's at low HP, but does have the shield. Titan down to about 1/3, but Repicos finds Death Panther. Reppy does fall to Caspadify. Murder falls as well, but Flippo's fine.
There's a sliver of HP, and it's gone. Burrito Esports winds up taking this game. This one